This video is from the RAND Corporation, a nonprofit institution that helps improve policy and decision-making through research and analysis.
The City Council said there's tight budgets. 20 officers per 10,000 residents should be enough, and the department should have more than 25% civilians. Now, these words were actually spoken to Chief Parker in 1954, and that you got the same message from the City Council. Have we really done, is everything really the same after 55, 60 years? Or what's the right size and what's the right composition of the department?
Mm-hmm. Well, Chief Parker made a deal with the devil back in the 50s and 60s that the idea was that I won't bother you for a lot of cops if you just leave us alone and we'll take care of business. And he began a 40-year history in which the department took care of business but managed to alienate just about every minority community in the city. And also, for a period of time, had, next to J. Edgar Hoover, the most effective spy machine in America. And so the thin blue line that was coined by him was not so much the idea of too few police, but the idea of the thin blue line to keep you over there and the police over here, and don't pay any attention to what we're doing, and we'll take care of business and won't raise your taxes. So effectively, he set in motion a process that continued really until the 1990s, in which this city has always underfunded its police force. The motto on the side of our cars says to protect and to serve. Well, that's what we do. That's what we're supposed to do. But increasingly, we had fewer resources to do it, largely as a result of systems that were put in place in the 50s and 60s. The real motto of the LAPD, which I saw firsthand when I got here, was too few who for too long have been asked to do too much with too little. And you get what you pay for. And in the case of the LAPD, you weren't paying much because you wanted to spend your tax dollars someplace else, or you didn't want to be taxed at all. And so it's been an uphill struggle to raise the size of the police force, but the good news is that beginning with Mayor Hahn and then certainly very aggressively under Mayor Villaraigosa, that we've fought a lot of battles and convinced the voters to raise the tax dollars and fees that they pay. And we now have about 800 some odd additional officers over what I had when I began in 2002. I had 9,177. I think we're at 9,983 as of today. And we talk about police being an investment. And indeed, there's a RAND study that's referenced in the material that you have in your folder that looked at 3 studies relative to the economic impact of crime in the city. And the most conservative of those 3 studies, and we're asking RAND to actually do a more contemporary study, but the most conservative a few years ago that was done in this city, indicated that the negative economic impact of one murder, whether it's a gangbanger down in South LA or somebody up in Brentwood, is $4 million. And when there were 677 murders when I arrived in 2002, this year we will probably have about 300 at the end of the year. 377 fewer murders in 2009 than in 2002. Multiply it by $4 million, get close to about $1.4, $1.5 billion. My budget's 1.2. I'm giving you a great return on investment. I'm making a profit for you. And so we're also changing the way we describe policing. We are an investment. And we are an obligated investment in that public safety is the one thing that's guaranteed by our Constitution. And if you don't have it, then you're not going to have businesses that will build, schools that will educate, and you will not have, in our case, tourists who will come to spend money and give us tax dollars to effectively do other things that we'd like to do. So the idea of the issue of police, it's we are truly an investment, and in this case, those 800 cops have paid off big time. Because since 2002, and another document that you have, you got your bedtime reading in that folder that you have there tonight, something I'm very proud of, that overall homicides in the city of Los Angeles are down by 59%, gang homicides are down by 58%, overall violent crime is down by 53%, overall Part 1 crime, which is the 7 categories we measure with the FBI, is down by almost a third. Every category of crime is down, and it's been down for 8 straight years in a row. It's been down in the midst of the worst recession since the Great Depression. And something I'm also very proud of is that a lot of researchers, academics, criminologists do all these studies, and basically most of the time they don't know what the hell they're talking about, being quite frank with you. One of the things I appreciate about Rand is Rand gets in and actually talks to people in the business, and so their studies tend to come out with a higher degree of accuracy. But one of the things that has been constantly misunderstood is the idea that the economy worsens, crime's going to go up. Didn't happen here in LA. Just the opposite. It's continuing to go down. In a city that has one of the highest rates of illegal immigrants, day laborers, those people aren't running out committing rapes, robberies, and murders because they're unemployed. Among those who are here legally and with a 14% unemployment rate, they're not turning to crime because the economy is worsened. We have a police force that is able to control behavior, and increasingly as the consent decree is reinforced, we're doing it constitutionally, we're doing it compassionately, and we're doing it consistently. Poor neighborhoods, rich neighborhoods, white neighborhoods, black neighborhoods. And basically we're showing that police count, cops matter.
Well, thanks for not lumping us in with all the other researchers.
No, in terms of it's, I get very frustrated. Anytime I see a study that basically has a formula in the paragraph, I immediately close the book because I was never very good at algebra or trigonometry in the first place. So when they start talking to each other in logarithms that give it up because it has nothing to do with American policing, because the average American police chief cannot sort out the formulas. So one of the things that you fortunately do at RAND, one of the things that George Kelly and Jim Wilson do, they write in English, they speak in English, and they basically understood that American police chiefs need studies and research that is of value today. No good studying something that's 5 years ago, because American policing is contemporary. It's now. We need information that's timely. We need information that's accurate so we can rapidly respond to it. And to rapidly respond to it, we develop effective tactics to deal with what's been identified as a problem in a pattern. And we have relentless follow-up. We don't go away like we used to in the good old days when, oh, made that arrest, solved that problem, move on to something else. No, we stay with it.
Well, one example of that research that we've done recently is Los Angeles is unique in that when you buy ammunition, you actually have to show ID and leave a thumbprint. It's one of the only places in the country where you have to do that. And in 2004, we worked with LAPD and ATF to go collect that data and have a look and see who was buying ammunition. We found that about 3% of the transactions involved people who were prohibited from buying ammunition. Ex-cons, people with restraining orders. Now recently, as part of LAPD's experience and the Sacramento Police's experience with ammunition logs, the governor just last week signed a law to make this ammunition registration statewide. And he said that this is the sort of thing that strikes the balance between gun ownership rights and public safety. And you echoed those remarks as well. Is this, in fact, what's this going to mean for Los Angeles? And maybe are there other things that we could do to reduce gun violence?
Well, effectively, what Rand did, and certainly the Assembly leadership, Assemblyman De Leon, were able to do, we were able to use good research data. You were able to use real-life experiences to convince a governor who really has not been willing to sign gun legislation. He's a Republican, and has been very much influenced by the NRA. But in this instance, we gave him an out. We gave him research that conclusively showed that we could have an impact on this issue. And with that, it allowed him leverage to basically sign legislation that will make this requirement statewide. And it's not going to have a phenomenal impact on the issue, but every little bit helps. It's an incremental change. And it's based on research, and it reinforces the importance of research. And one of the great frustrations in the criminal justice system in my world, policing, is how few dollars are devoted to research. We spend more money on tooth decay research in the United States every year than we spend on something that's taking 25,000 lives every year in the United States.
By a factor of 10.
Violence.
By a factor of 10.
By a factor of 10.
Yeah.
Well, here's a researcher, he'll give you the actual information.
So I see everybody here has very nice teeth, right? So that's your tax dollars at work, I'm sure.
This presentation is provided as a public service by the RAND Corporation. Visit www.rand.org to learn more about these issues and to explore RAND's free online library of more than 10,000 policy reports and commentaries.